gonna tell no lies, I ain't gonna apologize. You can see just where I stand, you know exactly who I am. Taking everything I want, don't believe me then just watch. Standing like the earth is mine, moving like I own this time. Can't stop me now. Can't stop me now. Can't stop me now. I'm just doing what I do. Won't stop doing what I do. Can't stop me now. Ain't backing down. Can't stop me now. I'm just doing what I do. Won't stop doing what I do.
Right in the back. Gotta get some food. Flying all day, super dehydrated, it's hot. Gotta get some fluids in me and get some food. Then get back to ripping. All right, mic check, mic check. Are we rolling?
Yeah, we're going.
All right, let's talk about where I've been for the past 7 months. On May 16th of this year, almost to the day, was a 10-year anniversary of the single event that changed my life. For those of you that don't know my story, I suffered back then a hypertension crisis that sent my blood pressure skyrocketing to dangerous levels. It was an experience that changed my life and probably eventually was what led me to this hobby almost 4 years ago. You see, I suffer from a condition called sleep apnea, and some of the complications from that condition are things like high blood pressure, irregular heartbeat, diabetes, obesity, and sometimes even heart disease. When this first happened to me, my wife and I were completely unaware of what was going on with me. But several medications and about a year later, I began to improve. So I started cleaning up my diet, doing exercise, and then eventually I found drones as a way to manage my own stress. I went from checking my blood pressure daily to eventually weekly and then monthly and then sporadically throughout the years. By the time Larsco came onto the scene, well, all my ailments were gone and I was 100% off all medication. Then the pandemic hit, and like most of us, it turned my life upside down. All of a sudden, everything changed. My ability just to go out and exercise or fly drones changed. The mounting pressure of being a business owner in the middle of a pandemic started to take its toll, and sleepless nights started to be a regular occurrence. And then my eating habits changed. More and more, it was more convenient to order out, and then before I knew it, within a matter of a year, year and a half, I had gained 20 pounds. But it didn't matter. I was on top of the world. Business was good. I was one of 50 pilots that had been featured in the Float State documentary. I was receiving my 4th sponsorship, and on top of all that, I was on my way to Rotor-Riot Rampage, and I was going to be able to fly with some of the best pilots that FPV had to offer. And thanks to GemFan, I was going to be there. On the last day of Rampage, I was taken away in an ambulance to the closest hospital the GTI personnel could find for me. On that 1-hour ambulance ride, all I could think about was 2 things. How did this happen again, and will I ever see my family again? When I got to the hospital, it was determined that I had suffered my 2nd hypertension crisis on the 10th year anniversary of my first. I was stabilized, released, and then I flew back home the next day. Over the next couple of months, my wife and I went back to basics. I went back on a lean, plant-based diet and began the process of healing. But something was different this time. Instead of the usual high blood pressure, high heart rate, and anxiety symptoms, a new family of symptoms had joined in to haunt me. I now had swelling, headaches, nausea, abdominal pain, and on top of that, which was probably the worst of all, I had become extremely sensitive to heat. The heat wave of this past summer made my condition pretty unbearable to deal with. I couldn't go outside in the heat, and if I did, my symptoms would just flare up immediately. And God forbid I try to work out. I'd get so dehydrated I'd get bedridden. Despite all this, I continued on my road to healing. I knew I had done it before, so as long as I stuck to it, I could most likely do it again. So I continued to eat lean, and whenever I had some energy, I actually tried to work out. But the results I was getting were not what I expected. Instead of losing weight, I began to gain. And instead of getting stronger from the workouts, my body would just drop electrolytes and get so badly dehydrated that it would send me back to the ER. I made several trips to the ER this year and to my doctors, each time leaving with more questions and no answers. Every day something changed, and it seemed like every month I had something new wrong with me. The doctors were all stumped, and I began to lose hope. Watching me struggle, my wife took it upon herself to learn about wellness health. She bought books and researched on subjects such as inflammation, diabetes, high blood pressure, sleep apnea, you name it. She spent months learning this stuff, trying to find ways to adjust my diet. After months of trying this, I felt no improvement, but like a good patient, I just followed her daily regimen. At this point, I started to fall into a depression. You see, the only thing that ever kept my mind off my anxiety and my ailments was my flying. And with my unpredictable symptoms and especially sensitivity to heat, that became difficult. On my weekly fly days, I'd show up and I'd be the first one up in the air, and I would quickly try to get through my packs because it was just too hard to be out there. My normal 3 to 4 hour sessions turned into 1 hour max. Sometimes I couldn't even make it at all. I was now the first one to show up and the first one to leave. No one really knew what was going on with me, except for my wife and a few other people. By this time, I had shoots and clients that I could no longer postpone. My wife and I felt that it would be better if I just cancel everything I had lined up for the rest of the year and just focus on my healing. When I made those calls, I knew that my chances of making this spectacular reel for the year I was having were officially over. Despite all these difficulties, I stayed focused on my diet and moved ahead. My wife a couple months ago was able to find a wellness doctor that was outside my network that was finally able to shed some light on my condition. This wellness doctor did a complete DNA workup on me, new blood work, and even a dietary antigen test. The results we found were shocking. My body was under severe depletion. It wasn't detoxing properly, so it was getting me sicker by the day. My cholesterol was so high it was affecting my arteries. All this causing the visceral fat that was trapped in my abdomen to attack my organs. The cause of all this? Poor diet and sleep apnea. I began taking supplements to help with my severe depletion. I continued on my dietary recommendations, and I drank plenty of water. After months of this strict regimen, my body finally began to respond. See, what I didn't realize at the time is all these months of not feeling improvement, this wellness diet was actually priming my body for all the nutrients that my body desperately needed to heal. My body began to lose weight. The first thing that started to go away was my anxiety and my swelling. More weight I lost. Next, my headaches, abdomen pain. Everything slowly started going away. On top of that, we did some labs with the doctor just to kind of confirm where I was. And sure enough, the results showed that everything I was doing was working. Fast forward 7 months, I've not only lost all my pre-pandemic weight, but I'm sitting here almost 30 pounds lighter than I was when I left Rampage. Honestly, it's a weight I haven't seen in over 15 years. I have 15 to 20 more pounds to get to my ideal weight, but that's okay. I know that's a long-term goal. But I'm committed. I'll keep doing what I'm doing and I'll get there. But what I am happy to announce is that sitting here right now, I'm officially 1 month symptom-free. And that's a hell of an accomplishment. My life is starting to get back to normal. I currently fly drones for fun and not for work. My primary business that I've spent 20 years of my life building with my family currently takes care of all my financial needs. And thanks to all my sponsorships, that takes care of my daily flying needs. As my health improves, I may be working with drones again, but I'm taking a break to focus on what really matters to me, my health and my family. So as of now, I'm just flying drones for fun. I wanted to make this video specifically for my kids. I wanted it as a learning tool for them to see that even in the face of the worst adversity that they could possibly imagine, that they could always come back from it. And they would know this because they watched their daddy actually do it. Although this year I've had to face some of the worst moments in the history of my life, I knew all along that it was a time for God to test my strength, and I knew that if I could conquer this, I could conquer anything. So continue to follow me on my journey because it's far from over. Larsco is coming back in 2022, and I'm coming back bigger, better, healthier, and stronger.
Cage, tell them lock the change. Adrenaline and a rage, I may never change. dilute my pain. Compressing all the stress, asthma on my chest, running out of breath. They gon' know my name. Straight up out the mud, brush the dirt up off me. Going hard, hit them where it hurts, kill them softly. Bone stress, trying to clear my mind, even smoke less, hopelessness. But I'm in this shit full-fledged, all reckless. Coming for your neck, no strap though. Running this shit, both legs, bro. Word around town that they coming for my head though. Funny thing about it, they don't know what's in my head though. Schizo, maniac, finna go klepto. So hands on, it's gonna hard for me to let go. Lego, my ego in the same boat. With a slow leak, screaming at the world till she prank up. 2 middle fingers to you all till I'm dead and gone.